Hey guys, we are here in San Diego at the Benefits PRO Broker Expo, and it's funny, I've been talking to a bunch of people that I've never met in real life before. This is one. So for anybody who has not seen you on social media, who are you and who's your company?
So I'm Kimberlee, Langford. I'm with Specialty Care Management.
And tell us what Specialty Care Management does.
So we are a risk mitigation company. So we focus on mitigating the risk associated with high-cost catastrophic claims, like for dialysis, air ambulance, out-of-network claims.
So I love this conversation.
Cancer management, yeah.
So when we talk about approaching a client, right? Clients want biggest bang for their buck with the littlest ruffled feathers, right? So this is a perfect conversation to dissect that. When we look at large claims, we're talking a very, very small percentage of people drive the most amount of claims.
Absolutely.
So you said dialysis. Dialysis is a great one. I do a lot of tribal casinos that have a lot of dialysis patients. Talk to us about that condition. So an employer looks at their claims information and they see they've got several diabetics on there. What is it that they can even do?
Well, I love the fact that you mentioned that. If you look in your claims and you see diabetes, I promise you have kidney disease in there, whether or not it's showing up in your codes, right? So the really sad thing about dialysis, Lester, is that most people don't know that they're ready for it until they're ready for it, right? So there's no time to turn it around, and there really should be. So, you know, what's unique about dialysis, and this is kind of this predatory market, right? It's predatory because it's largely the billed charges for these types of claims are because of a monopolistic market. So what's unique that we do, unlike the traditional cost containment strategy, is to negotiate a discount off of a number that's meaningless to begin with in the first place, right? So we take that out of the equation. We craft a fixed cost. It's a cost up approach that gives an employer group a to the penny line item bill charge, what they're going to pay for dialysis that they can then take to stop loss, which on average we save about 77.5%. And with no noise, so I'm a huge fan of reference-based pricing, except for dialysis. It's just so litigious and we'll just say nefarious, right?
So this is such an interesting conversation. So let's unpack this a little bit. I am with insert buka carrier here. I am told that I get the best network discount. I am expecting and paying a lot of money for that buka. I look at my large claims, I see a bunch of dialysis, I see some diabetics, I see some end-stage renal. It's always a stop-loss claim, it's a laser.
And it hurts.
And it's bad for everybody.
Right, yeah.
Why is the current model not addressing this?
Oh, well, if you think, if you look at the traditional strategy is to negotiate from this bill charge, which is meaningless. And the average, just so you know, the average bill charge that we see for dialysis is about $830,000. The average discount is about 38.5%. You tack on an 18 to 30% admin fee. It doesn't work. And so the traditional model, besides not saving enough on the first dollar and not creating a predictable risk, it does nothing to put a bridle on an industry that's like a runaway, right? So we really need to, and largely because of this malaligned incentives that we all talk about all the time. So putting in guardrails in a system and building into plan language, a cost up approach, not only is good in terms of first dollar savings and creating a predictable risk that you can take to stop loss and it's easy to underwrite, but ultimately it puts a bridle on that runaway claim.
So,
or a girdle on the fat lady, if you will.
So the interesting part about this is the ability to manipulate plan language, right? So we're talking about a self-funded employer who technically is the risk bearer, is the plan sponsor, is on the hook.
And the fiduciary.
So when people say that the carriers are the payers, it drives me absolutely bonkers because the client is paying, the employee is paying, everybody's paying. You know who's not paying is says, insert buka carry here.
Right.
They're administrating,
But they're happy to
not-
spend your money.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
So the first of all, the conversation needs to be that we can manipulate the plan language to being the beneficiary of the person who is actually doling out the money.
Carefully crafted language is super important.
So if we left somebody with your tidbits, right? I always call it the call to action, the mic drop, the whatever it is. What's an employer is listening to this, an advisor is listening to this. What's the number one thing that you tell them to do?
Don't need dialysis. If you want to save the most money on dialysis, don't need it, right? Crafting an approach, in a lot of our groups, they'll choose to put the solution in place preemptively. Having a plan when the house goes on fire, you've got sprinkler systems, is a whole lot faster and going to have a better outcome than having to call the fire department. Not having a fire in the first place is a whole lot better than your sprinkler systems. So I think sometimes for employers, helping them, little bit by little bit, understand if you don't have a fire, if you don't know the number for 911, let's put that up,
there.
right? And if you have that in place, then let's look at a sprinkler system. And if you have that in place, how about not having it in place? And having this holistic risk mitigation strategy that includes cost containment, nurse support, which is important, and watching out for, strategy, a safe strategy that's not going to create noise and disruption. That's super important.
Awesome. Well, if you want to know more, you'll have to contact Kim. So that's the reality of this. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Ciao. Thanks.